Good afternoon, everybody. It's Monday, June 8th, and I am bringing to order the Urban Forestry Board meeting in Sisters. Roll call, please.
Vice Chair Kohler.
Here.
Board Member Phelps.
Here.
Board Member Tinsley.
Here.
Vice Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. We are going to next approve the agenda. Would someone like to put forth a motion for that?
Yeah.
Can you hear us, Bridget?
I can't move very soft, but I can hear you. Yep.
Turn the mics up a little bit.
Thank you.
I believe you can, yes.
Okay, I will second the approval of the agenda. And next, item 3, approval of minutes from May 11th, our meeting that we covered a lot of territory, that meeting. So does anyone have any edits or comments on the minutes?
I did not see anything.
I don't have any. Okay, so we'll deem them to be approved.
We'll need a motion and a second then.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the May 11th Urban Forestry Board meeting.
A second?
All in favor? Aye. It passes. Okay. I assume no visitor communication, Jackson?
We do not have any.
Board business, downtown Swedish Aspen decline. Do you want to lead that, Jackson?
Sure. Yeah, as you know, downtown corridor on Cascade is lined with primarily Swedish aspens. Those aspens, we have had some decline and die over the years, and we have replaced those. The same issues we are seeing with this batch of trees, we have seen on those previous batch of trees. So primarily that American hornet moth and root girdling, and also overwatering from just the design of the irrigation in those areas. Mm-hmm. So we have resolved those irrigation issues when we do go in and replace. Basically, the drip tubing is too dense, so it gets too much water. So we are seeing issues with aspens regularly. They have an almost defined lifespan. You get about 20 years out of them if they don't suffer from pest or disease beforehand. So Avery did take a look at them. He did provide a few alternative species that have that nice columnar habit, which is great on that corridor. It keeps them out of the way of the drive lane and from the structures nearby. One tricky thing we might have to keep in mind is adhering to our defensible space standards, which does call for a minimum of 10-foot spacing from any part of a tree to any part of a structure.
The one's right next to the hotel, right?
Some are.
Yeah, a couple of them are. What's the east-west street that divides Sisters? It goes north and south.
Elm Street,
okay.
yes.
That's what I thought. Okay. I saw the addresses and then I wasn't sure which street.
Elm is that dividing line.
Okay, thank you.
So what we're seeking from the board is recommendations on whether we stick with Swedish aspen and follow some of the recommendations Avery made. I believe a nematode was recommended, but there was no guarantee that that could help keep the American hornet moths at bay.
So that's a root or whatever.
A nematode
organism that's
is a nematode is a microscopic organism, yes.
Right. And so that would help with some of the diseases these trees are getting.
Supposedly, the nematodes help to reduce the hornet moth population. So it could help. It could not. So, seeking if the board would like to continue with Swedish aspens or may recommend us looking into an alternative species that still looks good in that corridor, fits well, and hopefully has a better survival rate.
There are some of those popular
The Swedish aspen?
Swedish aspen out in Weich's Creek, and in one property they're all doing fine, in another one there are 3 or 4 that are dying. And one ones that are dying are more exposed on the rim, and the other are more protected. I know that was the only difference I could see.
Aspens confound me. Sometimes they grow old and gnarly, and other times they die before they hit 8 inches DBH.
Okay.
Bridget, do you have any comments on this?
Yeah, I would be, I think, interested since Jackson had mentioned that so many of these trees have been replaced before. I think we've kind of tried that. It sounds like they're attractive and they fit that center corridor, that main Cascade Avenue so well. But I would lean towards, I think it'd be more prudent to try something different. And I'm familiar with some of these species and sort of curious if there are any good examples in Bend or Redmond within the public spaces that I could reference. But I can Google them and see them and images online. But it would be neat to know, and I'm sure that Avery does, since he previously worked for the city of Redmond. I'm sure he might be able to speak to if any of these are found locally in urban spaces and how they're faring. So, but my inclination would be to try different species to replace these aspen.
I would like to point out that we did include in the packet some correspondence with Avery, who couldn't make it to the meeting. He did say he has seen some success of those other species in Central Oregon, but hasn't seen any specific cases in Sisters itself.
I looked up those trees. Some grow taller than others, and some grow wider. And if you look them up, they show how wide they grow. Some are like 10 feet wide, and others are 20 feet wide, and some go up to 15 to 20 feet, and some of those said 60 feet. And so I don't know, do we want something really tall there, or a shorter?
I think width, or how wide the tree grows, is going to be the limiting factor.
Okay, and the girdling. When those dead trees are taken out, if we take them out, yeah, are they going to dig them up with a backhoe, and so you can see the roots, and if there is girdling with it, or what do you call it, twisting or something, they get gnarly because of the confined space.
There may have to be some excavation of the root ball.
Yeah.
It may risk some damage to the adjacent curb and sidewalk if those roots are extending out quite a ways. But I imagine if we go back and replant, there will have to be some removal of some root ball.
I was wondering, if they, container pots, the roots start growing sideways. And I think that's what it's mentioned. Avery mentions that. It's the concrete curbs there. It probably could grow under the sidewalk. I don't know if there's a curb underneath there or a structure that confines it. Can you plant it a little deeper? So the roots can spread out under the highway, or I don't know if you want that. Because it might cause those frost heaves or.
I don't believe there are any vertical or horizontal barriers beneath the ground.
Below the curb?
I don't believe so.
Okay. In some cities you see on the sidewalk, they have those metal grates with a tree coming up out of them. Mm-hmm. And they allow water to go in, and they've got an area that the tree can grow out of. But that might be cost restrictive to do something like that. But just to, protect and allow those roots to grow. I think it's wise to check them when you get them, that we check and make sure they're not root bound. And I liked a number of those trees. I went and looked them up that Avery recommended. And there's an oak, and there's a couple
Ginkgo.
A couple of different ones. And they're pretty trees. They really have that shape, that we're looking for.
Yeah, I'm real fond of the oak trees, and oak trees in general are very hardy trees. And the sweet gums, I think are would be a really nice option. Jackson, do we know the for Adams Avenue and the improvements there? Do we know the trees that are selected? What species are being considered maybe for?
We do have those species called out in the landscape sections of the plans. I do
Hmm.
not recall which
Yeah, I
species
don't remember
off the
either.
top of my head, but your typical friendly street trees. I know there's a couple maples in there that are known to have some good fall color, a good variety of not necessarily exclusively native species, but species that are known to do well in this area.
Yeah, I think maybe there might have been lindens I was remembering, but
The kind of
I think
Midwestern trees where there's a harsher winter.
I can pull that up as the board continues to discuss.
it's I think it's slightly different because if I'm recalling correctly, the improvements to that street, there's a lot of parking, and so the concern around structures and space are a little different than our main corridor, where that the only option for a tree has to be that really tall, erect columnar thing, general canopy. So I don't know how relevant it is. I was just thinking about
Yeah,
that
there's certainly
species.
a lot more variety
Yeah,
the Adams streetscape just because we have that space to work with in those bulk.
yeah. So um, and maybe yeah. But the Therese, did you comment on either replacing the aspen or maintaining that species?
Well, I have become aware of how sensitive and not typically thriving those aspen are. And I also have become aware that they so seem not native. Although they do the job, their shape does the job. So I I would be in favor of replacing them with something else. And I know from the list, ginkgos aren't native either, but I have seen them growing in Bend. And I know of one in Sisters. I myself tried to grow not one but two and failed on both counts.
Me too.
Yeah, I love them.
They're very pretty in the fall.
They're very pretty in the fall, but they might not be appropriate for this. Um,
They can be pretty messy too. They're hard to if you get the wrong sex, right? They
what's that?
they can be pretty messy trees if you get the wrong sex of the
Right,
ginkgo
and the
tree.
fruiting and all that. Yeah, you have to be careful. Um, I think we have some time because Avery's letter says that we don't need a decision on species until around October because we wouldn't be planting these till spring. Um, and I don't know if Sisters has ever considered something like this, but addressing the problem of proximity to the buildings. It would be possible to, instead of having so many trees jammed up against the curb there, to build occasional bump outs, put a big tree in each one of those, and get rid of the rest of the trees.
So it would be difficult to park there then.
It would be more chancy to
Or less parking.
parking, yes, which might be problematic because it's on Cascade. But already, you have to back into places sometimes there.
Yeah.
So I used to live in Los Gatos, and they did that there. And the downtown was the same thing. A really important road went right through the downtown. And at some point, they decided to make these bump outs. And then in that case, they also started a program which had been very successful, I think still is they let people volunteer to take care of one of those plots. The city would put in a tree, and then somebody would adopt to plant flowers or something else, and then a little plaque about this sponsored by so-and-so. And it's very endearing when you're there. I don't know if there is a totally native choice that would fit the bill for staying kind of small.
On the note about more planting space on Cascade, kind of similar to this, we are going through a road safety audit of Cascade through there. One of the more extreme solutions or recommendations that was made that really didn't have a lot of backing with downtown businesses was getting rid of parking on alternate sides of that corridor to maybe provide some barricades to discourage folks from jaywalking, and also maybe create some more pedestrian amenities. Had that been a favorable had that recommendation gone over well, that could have been a solution. But we could certainly look into maybe some other areas where you don't see any trees, but are further from a structure, don't have any trees in them currently, and wouldn't disturb any sight lines from vehicles.
But just spacing too. These look pretty close together.
They are pretty densely
Yeah, they're
planted.
pretty dense. It looks like 6 feet maybe, and go to 10 feet further apart, or 9 feet or something like that, just to allow them more growth space.
Yeah, we'd have to consult with Avery on which areas don't have trees that kind of fit into our defensible space, happy zone for planting a tree, and if there was enough growing space for a tree, because I know Avery often talks about how much space is required for a street tree to be happy and grow well.
I think that if they're limbed up high enough, I think that takes care of a lot of the visibility concern. So, as long as the branches aren't too low, I think that helps a lot with that. And Teresa, I just wanted to piggyback on your comment about those public spaces that people adopted. The city of Yachats does that as well, and it's a nice offer. I've done it. I'm doing it voluntarily without anybody's permission or consent in front of the Belfry. Slowly.
What was that last sentence?
Oh, I'm doing it without anybody's permission or consent with Angeline's property in front of the Belfry.
Oh, nice. Good for you.
It's fun. But anyway, that's all. That's all I have to say.
Okay. And even though containers are problematic long-term, another solution I thought of would be, what if there was a rotation of just bringing in big old trees, already big, in containers, and dropping them there, and then figure they get 3 years there, or some amount of time, and then take them elsewhere, either plant them in a park or put them somewhere else on a street that needs trees, planted in the ground. Just an idea. Like, Ponderosas are really tough, and you could get some that are, as tall as this counter, or even 2 feet taller, and leave them in a container for a few years. They would live, and then rotate them out of there.
That's a good idea. You could have them sponsor, club sponsor, archery, whatever.
Yeah.
Some kid, a first grade class, and then when they're junior high school, they get to move it to someplace else. And I don't know.
That's
something
good.
like that. That would be interesting. Yeah, I like that idea. Because we're looking at deciduous trees here mostly, right? That are here.
Mm-hmm.
What about like a subalpine fir or something that's very narrow and they are pretty. I don't know if they're acclimated for this climate, this lower level than alpine fir.
I think some evergreen species, like fir and spruce, there's even stricter regulations on those in terms of their proximity to buildings, just because of how flammable they are.
Yeah, flammable. Yeah.
For instance, some of the ones we took out here, adjacent to City Hall.
Yeah, I remember those. Nice trees.
I think as well that would be, those would really need to be limbed up because their natural growing pattern is low to the ground and it could look kind of strange. Little lollipop Dr. Seuss things, but yeah,
What's that?
you gotta
There, there you
why I'm virtual because I don't have childcare.
go. There.
It's getting so big.
Gosh.
Yeah, he is. Okay,
Well,
I'm gonna mute myself.
I will point out to people that there is a ginkgo growing at Holland's Head Park in Bend, which is a beautiful park. If you've never been there, they also have nice trees in that park. And it's way in the back. You have to kind of know to look for it behind the barn structure. And it was donated to Bend as a, quote, peace tree. So it's from a seed that came from the bombings, the nuclear bombings of World War II. So somebody went and collected a lot of those seeds and sprouted them and gave them to various communities. They have one there, and I check on it periodically, and it's still living. It grows very slowly. That's another thing about ginkgos. They're not fast growers. So pretty.
There are trees that they took to the moon,
Are there?
They took seeds to the moon.
And did they leave them there?
No, they brought them back, and then they were having this project where they were putting them out and taking them out to towns and planting these trees that went to the moon.
That have been to
And then it kind of just, people forgot about it. I read an article, it was probably a year ago, about, somebody found those seeds, or the seedlings. But the seeds themselves have survived,
Cool.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, like you were talking about
Yeah.
the ginkgo in World War II. Yeah. A lot of ideas out there for peace trees or whatever.
I'll say too, for what it's worth, ginkgos used to be native. We have a bunch of fossilized ginkgo forests in Washington and Oregon. So yeah, so technically in the Jurassic era.
There are palms over there in central or further.
Yeah, we considered a palm. Just kidding,
Some palm
Jackson.
trees here.
That's the solution. They're also a fire hazard, among other issues, but okay.
So what was the name of that park?
Holland's Head.
Holland's Head.
HOLLINSHEAD. So I suggest that we talk about this again next meeting when more people are here.
Yeah.
May have an opinion. And, this might be, of course, this would be work for you guys, but extra work. It might be a fun community ask. Put in the nugget. What are your ideas? Here's the 4 things you got to remember. The tree can't be
Height.
too high.
Yeah, closeness to buildings.
It has to
right.
be able to survive
Fire
these
safe.
winters. Yeah. Although I do not want to lead us into something that would be like the discussion of the roundabout art. So,
Yeah, I think if we reconvene the board at a future time, talk about this more, get some recommendations, maybe more from Avery,
Yeah.
and then the board can narrow it down. We maybe seek the Sisters Business Association, see what they think, because they're right in front of those businesses, get some council input, and kind of go from there. But I think, yeah, if the board could help narrow down that choice, that'd be really helpful.
okay.
I also think I like your idea, Jackson, with engaging with the business association. And I also think we could probably do like some virtual mock-ups of different species and replacing, we don't need to wear ourselves out with it, but I don't think that that would be very difficult to kind of superimpose these alternative species to give people an idea of, I mean, they more or less look the same, right? They're deciduous columnar trees, but maybe that helps people think about it and react to it. But I imagine yeah, that kind of just opening it up could be a big can of worms. But
I like that idea, because especially if some of them have some really nice fall color. Could really
yeah,
show
yeah,
them.
and they're a little different, and but gives people something to react to. Otherwise, it could get kind of loose with the conversation and get us maybe further away from a decision. But I don't know.
Anything else, Robert?
No, I think
Okay.
said what I had to say, and I think it's a good idea to have a few more people here and,
Yeah.
and think about other ideas. I've, already come up with a couple different ideas that could do this. I like the container idea, and like I said, you beer barrels or whatever they are, and put something in there, and you have to look at does the hotel want those big trees in front of its building? I think they probably would, and they don't mind it. I don't think it doesn't obscure it, but that's a thought. It might obscure the buildings, and I want to check with them. Just a cis saloon, not cis.
I will proceed with scheduling removals of the dead and declining trees.
Okay.
Good.
If the board would like to entertain a motion to table this to the next meeting, if that's the decision on that, I'm
Can we
kind of
table this discussion until there are further members here to discuss?
I
do you
second
think?
that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Next board business is North Pine and Barclay Ponderosas. Got some declining Ponderosas out there. You want to also take
Yes.
this one?
So, if you're familiar with this area, it's right across the street from the Woodlands plaque about the
Right.
tallest tree.
The
It's
old
a-
sisters rental.
Yes, it is adjacent to the Sisters rental property.
It's still their property, but yeah.
It's a little roundabout, little traffic circle in the right-of-way. We have a few declining ponderosa pines. Avery's recommendation is removal, but I think we have one of those rare opportunities where we can replace the trees. I have reason to believe there is irrigation in there provided from the adjacent property, because there are some plantings and obviously green grass. I'm still attempting to make contact with the adjacent property owner to A, confirm their interest, and B, see what kind of species they'd be interested in or not interested in. So working with that property owner.
Is that sisters rental or is
Yes.
that okay? Yeah, I've noticed them. Yeah, they don't look healthy, that's for sure.
Are they considered city trees, though?
Yes.
So it's courtesy to ask them. Sisters rental. Do you
Yeah.
want?
They're irrigating that space.
Oh, they're
I have reason to believe we aren't irrigating that. So if there is indeed irrigation there being provided by them, it would be the neighborly thing to do to get there.
right, right.
That sounds like a good recommendation to pursue, to remove the trees. I'm happy to make a motion. You guys are ready.
Any species that might be good replacements?
I like the two that are recommended. I'm a big fan of the oaks. The river birch are really beautiful, and there aren't a lot of great site options for them sometimes, but I think those are both great options. Yeah.
I just wondered about visual people using that roundabout thing, and if the smaller trees might obscure the driver when they're looking down Pine Street when they come out there. But if it's going to be watered, it could grow pretty fast, I would think. And they look like they're more towards the back or towards the buildings back there away from the street, so they may not obscure. That would be the only thing I could think of.
Yeah, location is going to have to be taken into consideration. Obviously, excavating those stumps and roots could cause quite a bit of damage before we were able to get a plantable area. So we may look at some areas adjacent, but still in that area, in that little roundabout center. Again, pending adjacent property owner.
So I'm thinking 20, 50 years down the line, more and more of the Ponderosas going down Pine and in that area are being taken down or dying. So is there any reason why we couldn't offer as a possibility to the owners 1 or 2 young Ponderosas there?
We certainly could.
Do we have some out in our?
We still have some saplings that we've planted at the last 3 Arbor Day events.
So yeah,
If they're irrigated, they'll grow pretty fast.
Yes.
They'll grow 1.5 foot, 2 feet a year if they're well watered.
and in the ground.
And if we could help the people out there with those trees.
I will add Ponderosas to the list.
Okay, thanks.
Is the preference of the board more towards Ponderosas than either of the other 2?
Well, that's what we're taking out there. I'd like to see those continue growing there. We've got some across the street. We took a bunch out there when those homes were built. And, that's kind of the character of our community. We don't want all the junipers,
Yeah.
We don't grow there.
Bridget, do you have an opinion on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think ponderosa pines are always a great option.
So that would be my first choice for the reasons I stated. So you can see what the Mr.'s rental people feel. Okay. Need anything more on this topic from us? Okay.
Those are some great pictures on the back, huh? Where the beetles have come in there.
Oh yeah. Ooh, vivid.
That red turpentine beetle pitch tubes.
Well, just apropos of nothing, I'll share with you that I see a lot of ponderosas from my home. And now I've noticed that one of them, they're all pretty darn healthy, but I've noticed one of them has about 2 feet of death at the top. It's just a stick there. So I'm taking photos and I'm going to watch. It's on private property. And so I'm sharing this because I think since we're tree sensitive people, that's something you could do with a ponderosa near you. Because what we do here is we often say, top's going, it's this or that. Either top it or sometimes we say watch it, but sometimes entire trees are coming down that I sometimes feel badly about that we didn't give them more of a chance. So,
I lost the top of one of my ponderosas 5-6 years ago, and of course, limbs all come up and they're all growing. It's got about 5 tops now.
oh, really?
But it's in a grove, so it doesn't look really out of place. If you stand way back, you can see.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in my yard, you don't notice that the top is gone and that these limbs are just, there's 5 limbs coming up, and it looks pretty dense up there.
Yeah, interesting. So this top is still there. It's just lost every needle.
And it'll probably die, and
Yeah.
when the wind comes up, if you get a strong enough one, it'll snap off.
Uh-huh.
Some of these down force winds, and
Yeah.
just, it doesn't look that bad, but it's not your typical Christmas tree shape.
Okay. already. Is there anything else to report that Avery hasn't shared in writing?
He didn't pass along any other updates
Okay,
for the City Forester update section.
okay. And how about staff updates?
So I have scheduled with our arborist the work at the campground for the week of July 6th, specifically the 7th and 8th, because of that one tree in between two campsites.
Mm-hmm.
That was the next available date that both had not been reserved. So we closed those sites in our reservation system and scheduled that removal with our arborist. And they will also be performing some of the other recommendations in Avery's campground tree assessment.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Could they take those ones out there on Pine Street also at that time?
If they have available time, I'll be reaching out to them to schedule the removals
Okay.
just went over today. But if they have time, they like to tackle several jobs
Yeah.
when they can, and given that that's that far out, they may be able to do that. Save us some money on travel.
Okay, yeah, pretty good. So I live right near the post office, so I've been watching the trees come down on Camp Polk in Barclay by that old house. So if you haven't driven by there, the ones that we suggested they take out are now all gone.
I also got a big rock, a boulder.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah, and the fence is down, and
Yeah.
they're making way for the path there. So that'll be a great improvement to have a path there. Sad to see the trees go, but, well, especially the junipers, but
You know,
not these thick
that
ones.
house has been neglected so much
I know.
by the property owners. I mean, I attended several functions there, a couple of weddings.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, 20 years ago. And 25 years ago. It's a beautiful place. And they just go.
Yeah.
When that property does develop, I'm sure there will be some kind of street tree requirements. So.
Okay. Great. Moving on, board member comments. Does anyone have any?
I've made all my comments.
I have a question. I saw that there's a position open for a board member, and I guess I was confused about who's coming or who's going rather. And then I wasn't sure how long mine is, but I hope I'm not going. I'm having a nice time with you all.
Can you speak to that, Jackson?
I know we are recruiting for a public art advisory board. I was not aware of any openings for this board.
Okay.
I'm checking that right now.
Okay. I had one person ask me about it, and then on like a group chat, I had a friend go, "Oh, hey, this is neat. Somebody should investigate this to see if they're interested." And
And
so.
and that was for the forestry board, because I hadn't heard either.
Yeah, yep. But I do know the art board.
Yeah, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
This was pretty recent. I haven't heard of any board
Okay.
members interested
Well,
in resigning.
misinformation.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, I was able to bring up a landscape plan for Adams. The trees are vine maple,
What maple?
vine,
Fine.
Vine. Oh, okay.
autumn blaze maple, serviceberry, bur oak, European mountain ash, and green spire linden.
What street was that, Adams?
For the Adams Streetscape project.
It's beautiful. Looks great. They've done so much work so far.
Yeah.
The vine maple are so pretty. The ones that turn red. When you drive over the pass, they're so pretty in the fall. I used to go dig them up,
Really?
but the deer eat them. They get them put them in the backyard, behind a fence.
That is a factor. I would imagine they figured out when they chose these trees, the deer.
They tend to favor the salad bars in most people's front yards. They tend to leave our landscape
Flower
alone.
beds.
Okay, well, if we don't have anything else from anyone, Cheryl, would you like to add anything?
This is on, yeah? Can you hear me, Bridget? Thank you, Vice Chair. Well, back to your comment regarding the option for the board to choose to top off a tree versus take the whole thing down. You made a decision, I think it was last year, for a pine over on Creekside Drive by my house, to just top it off. And it is so happy, it's doing great. And I don't know that you ever sometimes get that feedback after you make a decision or drive by those trees again later to see how they're doing, but that one's doing fine. So,
Great.
good decision on that part to save that tree, and it's still beautiful. Yeah.
Good feedback, thank you.
And then the second item I have is coming before City Council on Wednesday is awarding the bid for the work on the Elm Street multi-user path. If you haven't heard about that, there's going to be an 8-foot wide multi-use path on the east side of Elm Street, starting at Village Green Park at Jefferson, out to Tyee Drive. So it would feed into Peterson Ridge Trail. It'll include a bridge going over Waitress, a pedestrian bridge. And the only reason why I bring that up, besides the fact that I think it's fantastic that our city continues to make these improvements, is that there is a strong chance trees would have to be removed. So that probably will become before the board, I assume, or there'll be some information. But for you to see more, you can look at the packet for Wednesday's City Council meeting, and you'll see all of the plans there for the multi-use path.
It's
Thank
been
you.
a long time coming on that project. I think the board approved those removals 2022. We've been
wow.
working on that for a while.
Yeah.
We tried a few grant options for that one, pushing that project out. Working with bridge manufacturers, very difficult. So quite a few delays.
Yeah, I heard a long delay on the bridge. So in that case, if that's already been approved for the removal of those trees, you can still look at the plan and just kind of see where those trees are, because I think they're denoted in red. That'll be removed. But yeah, some good stuff going on around town, and more improvements, and looking forward to more landscaping coming here at the roundabout, I heard. Just about there. So just good work, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon.
We did, maybe it was a separate decision from 2022, or maybe that's what I'm remembering, but we did have a lengthy discussion about, I think it was a juniper that's in front of a pretty newly built property that the owner was saying, oh, I can't see when I back
Right,
out.
when it backs
Yeah.
out,
And then we wanted to keep it.
Yeah.
There's nothing in play about that, is there?
So I believe the board's recommendation was to stick with the removals called out in the plan and not change that as the adjacent property owner wanted. I think they wanted
More removed.
a removal of an additional juniper to straighten out the path. I think the board denied that request, and the juniper was retained.
So that's not at play right now.
Oh, that juniper is set to remain as per the original plan.
Okay. And then if you have it, do you know anything about the irrigation for the big tree as you come into town by the big pondo as you come into town before the roundabout?
barrels are.
Where the barrels used to be, but now they're back by the fence.
Yes, forgive me, you had requested that last meeting. I will look into that. I know we are meeting with landscapers tomorrow, I think to go over some of the more shrubs and flowering, the low-lying plantings. I will look into that at that time.
end result, though, is gonna be that somehow that tree's gonna have regular irrigation. Yeah, okay, great. All right, so I think we can adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I will now adjourn this meeting. It's 3:40 on June 8th. Thank you very much.
Great.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Bridget.
Bye. Hey, buddy. Look at that fuzzy
Bye,
hair.
Arno.